What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the We Live the Lifestyle podcast with your host, Chris Bautista. And what's going on? How are you? This episode of the podcast is, as you guys hear or will be hearing or see right now, if you're subscribed to the YouTube channel, is just me. Like this episode of the podcast is going to be kind of like a advice type of thing, like me sitting down with you guys and giving you advice on the topic at hand. um like there's a reason why I wanted to kind of touch upon this topic right now, because to be honest, I haven't felt this way in a really long time. I've had like spurts of this type of feeling here and there, but I never actually kind of an extended period of time like me feeling this way. So before we get into the topic, if you guys are watching on the YouTube channel, um as you guys see, it's an increase in quality. I just got a new webcam, 1080p, so you can see all of my beautiful faces and all the imperfections that is on it. I'm just kidding. But yeah, so if you guys like the increase in quality, I'm going to be investing in a new mic as well soon. So if you guys are excited for the increase in quality, go give it a like, go give the YouTube channel a subscription, and just leave a comment saying how much you like the podcast so far. Um, Thank you guys so much for showing the amount of love you guys been showing on the first two episodes of the podcast. I'm actually really enjoying this very much. Kind of like, first, obviously the first episode is just me talking about just introducing myself, but the second episode was just so fun because it was just me just having a nice conversation with someone that I admire and know personally. So I love those types of interactions. Like even if I wasn't recording anything, just me having a conversation with just anyone just is just very, very intriguing to me, because I like how the mind works. I like how different people's, like, feelings towards different topics, or basically how they're feeling that day. um like if they're happy, if they're sad, like if they're sad, like what's happening, and how we can kind of have a conversation, kind of like discussing that is intriguing to me, and I just love conversation. So before I get into a rant, as you guys know from the beginning, I am in a very good mood. Like I can't even tell you, like these past, I think, to be honest, few weeks have been really, um, really good. Like I've been my my confidence and self-esteem is super high. And that's the topic of this video, is basically how I built confidence and self-esteem throughout the years, of me basically, kind of being conscious of, you know, everyone around me and how they think of me and how I think about myself, to basically the present day, and how I've built that basically from nothing. Because if you know me personally, or if you're not, just a little backstory on me, I'm a very shy person. Like when I go into a room, I'm not the type of person to talk to someone like out of nowhere and start a conversation. I'm not that type of person. Like I feel very very shy, and I feel like all eyes are on me type of mentality. And when I walk into a room, I feel like everyone is judging me. Obviously that might not be the case like 9 times out of 10, but that's how I feel, or that's how I felt until now. um like now I've built kind of like that mentality of like I don't really care about what people are judging me, or if they're judging me, I don't really care what they're talking. about, or if they are staring at me, like, am I, does what I think that they're thinking phase me, which it doesn't. So that was like a big, that was like a cluster of like a lot of stuff in that one little paragraph. Um but yeah, like the reason why I want to share this feeling, because I feel that there are a lot of people that are just like me who are struggling with being confident or having self-esteem, um in general. Like I've talked to friends, I've talked to different, like, actually I've talked to, different like clients of mine whenever I train them. Like obviously their one top goal is to actually feel good in their own skin. And I had like talks with them and giving them advice and stuff like that. So just a little like disclaimer, this is not like proven. This is, I don't like, I'm not going to sit here and like claim that I'm a know-it-all, or stuff that like stuff that you like need to do this stuff in order for you to build confidence or self-esteem. Like, this is advice, take it with a grain of salt. If you want to take my advice, great. If you don't, just share it to someone you think that will take it to heart and would think that this would help them. So, all right, let's like rewind the clock to me basically, like from the beginning, because it plays a big role. So as I said before, I'm a very shy guy. Like when I think it was in middle school, um, like before I even start there, let me just explain. A lot of people, or let me put it this way, there are a percentage of people that come out the womb very confident, and like they're like carefree, and they want to do what they want without even like second guessing themselves, like, oh, like this person is judging me or whatever. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and say like it's like, I don't know what the word is, but is it like genetic? Like, for example, like within fitness, like calves, like is you being self-confident and having self-esteem like genetic? I'm not going to sit here saying that it is or not. I'm just going to explain the ways that you can build self-confidence without it being genetic or stuff like that. So yeah, from the beginning, a lot of people can come out the womb being that top dog or that self-confident individual. So I'm going to explain everything um like you're like me, basically struggling with self-esteem and confidence. I'm going to say self-esteem and confidence a lot throughout this episode of the podcast, um but yeah, so all right. So from the beginning, um like I said, I'm super shy. Um like after from like, kindergarten to 4th grade, I know I didn't really care about like judging me, because obviously the kids around me didn't really judge people. They did, excuse me, pretty much what they want. So it really didn't matter. But like once I started getting into, basically once I hit puberty, like 12, 13, like around that age, I believe. So I'm 25 now. 10 years ago, 2021, 10 years ago was 2011. 2010 is when I first started high school. So I was at my freshman year in high school. So 2010. So I was 14. So 2 years ago. So yeah, so like 7th grade is kind of like that like realm of like, who's popular, who's not, what clique are you going to be in, like you thinking about girls and like females, and like how everyone looks at you. Because again, when you go into school, everyone has, that first day of school, right? Everyone has that thing, like, it's the first day of school. I gotta dress a certain way so I can come off like being popular or being that type of person, right? So that was always that was always me. Like, but basically it wasn't just the first day. It was like throughout the year. Like, I always thought people judged me the way how I acted, the way that I dressed. Like, I always wanted to dress like the popular kids, or always wanted to act like the popular kids, because again, they're popular for a reason. So you always want to be that way, which I'm gonna tell you right now, that is something that you do not want to do whatsoever. What I've learned, I'm not gonna go through this whole, you know, through this whole storyline of like how I became how I am now, but basically the super important thing is that, like, uh is the thing to get from this is that from the in the beginning, I kind of basically wanted to be like the popular kids. I wanted to act like them. I wanted to be them. So I kind of like copied them in a way, or basically acted like they did so I can be cool, which is not good at all. So, all right. So in that realm, like, you never obviously you have people to emulate and people to look up to, but popular kids are not really, not really the people you should be looking up to. Like, everyone is who they are for a reason. So you want to you want to emphasize that. Like, but again, that comes with a lot of time and trial and error to kind of truly know who yourself is, or yeah, to truly know who you are as a person. Like, that takes a lot of experiences, and again, like I said, trial and error. So, like, don't, like, when you're in your like early ages, or even now, like, I'm 25, like, people are still struggling with this, like, that are like way older than me. But you know but the thing is like, you have to make the effort to be like, you know focusing on yourself and truly finding out who you truly are, because again, it will play a big role down the line when like when you try to find yourself, because again, you can't copy someone for the rest of your life, right? Like, you can't be fake, because that's something that I dislike a lot too, is like fake people, because they put like an image when you meet them, but like truly there's something else, which I can't lie, I was that type of person for a bit. And again, like, I don't recommend anyone to do it whatsoever. And because again, being fake will just take you so far, but then people will start knowing who you truly are, and they'll just drift away. So, um, so yeah, you know, so, like, with experiences and like trial and error, it will truly show you who you truly are. Like, for example, like, this is the last example I'm going to tell, uh before, I start like naming a lot of the stuff that I recommend for you guys to do. So, a big you know a big thing, that I definitely, recommend for you guys, is to just go through life doing what you feel is what you want to do. Because again, that comes down to trial and error type thing. So, let's say in high school, right? You go to school and you see the popular kids, and then obviously you see the people that are just being themselves and being in their own little in their own little world because that's where they feel comfortable, or that's who they truly are, right? So like for me, I tried my hardest to be a part of the popular kids. Why? Because they were popular. They did all the fun stuff, like all the girls were talking to them, and they were part of everything, like from pep rallies to, when they step foot in parties, like people know them from, like, from being popular. So for me, I went into that type of realm, right? So I tried, instead of me kind of thinking over, like, what I think I should do, instead of what I think I should do to be like them, right? So to be honest, like, we had a lot of parties here where I grew up, where I live right now. Like when I was in high school, there were parties every weekend. All the popular kids were going, and and everyone wanted to go. But in my head, I seriously had no enjoyment about going to parties because, again, I was really shy. I didn't I didn't really I didn't really like to I didn't no one really talked to me that much. And like, so when I went to parties, like, I felt like a loner. That's why I never wanted to go to parties alone. I always wanted to go with my friends or whatever. So but I went to parties because, again, I wanted to be popular. I wanted to be known. So so like, I went through that phase of my life, and I also played sports. So that kind of put me in, like, the realm of all the popular kids, because in high school all the popular kids either played sports or they were just outgoing people. So so yeah, but I loved playing sports. Like, I played football pretty much all 4 years of high school. So I love playing sports. So I didn't really like force myself into playing sports because I wanted to be popular. So yeah. Um so by that time in high school, to be honest, I really didn't know who I was, and I wasn't self-confident yet. But but when you're in high school, you can figure it out, right? I kind of figured it out later down the line, but no matter what time of your life it is, you can always figure out who you are, and how you can love yourself. Because, again, self-esteem and confidence is basically loving yourself and knowing who you are as a person, right? If you don't know who you are as a person, you kind of do things to kind of be someone that you're not, and that will kind of, like, make people see you as someone being fake, or someone being fake. So so yeah. Um so you know um i went through that. I went through, but truly, how I learned how to build self-esteem is when I was out of high school, when I was able to kind of make my own decisions without external people or external things, convince like, I wouldn't say convince, influencing me, external influences, to make me think a certain way, right? I was able to make my own decisions without peer pressure, or, like I said, external influences. Um so when I got out of high school, the first thing that I wanted to work on is basically my image, right? I kind of worked on this during high school, but I'll kind of bleed that into this section, right? So so the first thing that I definitely recommend for you guys to do, obviously, is to go through trial and error, trying to figure yourself out through that realm, or basically, yeah, just go through stuff. in order for you to figure things out about yourself, right? To kind of think to make yourself to be like, oh, that's right, but that's wrong. So knowing or um figuring things out, uh figure things out to basically um to differ between right and wrong is the first step. The second step is basically what you look, how you look yourself in the mirror and how you feel about yourself when you look in the mirror, right? Because again, when you wake up in the morning, that's the first thing that you see. Like when you go brush your teeth, obviously 9 times out of 10, everyone has a mirror in their bathroom. So when you look at yourself in the mirror, are you proud of who you see? If you're not, then obviously the rest of the day is going to be like, oh, like you feel down because you're not proud of who you see yourself. Obviously, if you like, the eyes see first, right? Everyone judges a book by its cover, no matter who you are. So again, like obviously when you see a person, that's what attracts your eye. But then once you talk to them, then that's the next step. So yeah. So first thing I definitely, I definitely recommend is to work on your image, self-image, the way that you dress, the way that you look, as in like the way that your body looks. Like those two are the biggest thing, right? In high school, I followed a lot. Um, I followed a lot of I wouldn't even say it was social media because Instagram wasn't really big at that time. So I watched a lot of YouTube, and a lot of the people that I looked up to dressed a certain way. Obviously, um nice shoes, nice shirt, nice accessories. Like as you see now, I have a chain. Obviously, it's not a big one that I usually wear when I'm out, but you guys know what I mean. So when I was in high school, I always tried to look the best that I could every single day, wearing nice shoes, wearing nice shirt, just basically looking good, right? Obviously, I wasn't really in tune with the gym yet. So again, gotta dress nice because everyone sees you on a daily basis, so you have to look nice every single day. Is it a must? No. Like I'm just recommending you what has worked for me in the order that it has worked for me. Obviously, you can go opposite. You can work on your mental state. You can work on your mental state and how you perceive yourself mentally. Like, do you feel confident? Do you feel like you yeah, I'm the top dog. I'm confident, and I know what I'm worth, so on and so forth. You can be like that. But for me, what has basically the steps that I took to basically become like the way that I feel now is self-image, how I feel inside my skin, basically working on my body, and then that bleeds into my mental state and how I basically how I am mentally strong, say how I mentally love myself, or how I mentally love myself as well. So yeah, so like definitely, increase your swag, increase your wardrobe. Obviously, you don't have to wear designer, but if you look good, then you're gonna feel good, right? All right. So the next thing is going to be basically working on your bodily image. Everyone, everyone nowadays, like they wanna they wanna feel good inside their skin, right? Because that builds confidence, right? Like especially as a male, like well, females as well. But, you know, talking as a male, everyone wants like, big muscles, big arms, six pack, so on and so forth. But, being wrapped up in like the fitness community for the longest time made me think that like having a six pack and big arms isn't, you know, is it the top thing that everyone wants nowadays? Everyone wants to be strong. Everyone wants to just feel good, you know? If you feel good, then you're going to act like it. So no matter how you achieve that, like if you again, like if you feel like you want to achieve the dad bod but look swole AF like I'm trying to do now and not necessarily be shredded AF, then great. Like again, be comfortable in your own skin. If you feel comfortable, if you feel comfortable being not shredded or even not having big muscles, then fine. Like going to the gym is like, I'm not going to go into a rant about going to the gym because that's a whole different podcast episode, but going to the gym is more than just, looking good. People go to the gym to be healthy. So like I would definitely recommend for you to go to the gym either way, because like if you feel healthy, then everything will follow. So yeah, um definitely definitely increase your wardrobe, basically looking good, and then go into feeling good, like going into the gym and basically becoming healthy and or whatever. So the last thing that I want to talk about to kind of top it all off, that is probably, to be honest, the most important thing to building self-esteem and confidence, is basically mentally and emotionally loving yourself, right? So like you can increase your wardrobe or you can go to the gym, really doesn't matter. But if you're not mentally or emotionally kind of like loving yourself, then pretty much all of that is a waste, because you're you know basically not really doing anything. Because again, you have to work on yourself in order for you to be comfortable in your own skin. Like for example, this is a big thing. Like a lot of people, a lot of people go through this or have this experience to kind of be like, to kind of slap themselves in the face, like I'm not worth this. I'm worth a lot more. Like this is wrong, or so on and so forth. Basically, this like everyone goes through an experience to kind of wake themselves up to learn from it, right? So um this experience definitely can, people can relate to. Like I had a bad breakup, right? So uh during the aftermath of that bad breakup, or yeah, so during the relationship and the bad breakup, there were a bunch of things that me and that person went through, that I knew in my head that it wasn't right, but I did it anyway because I was afraid of being judged for it. So that right there is um basically the basically the thing that I want you to take from this part of the episode. Um so during during the during the time that I made those decisions to do it, but I was afraid of being judged, during that, the result of it is that now that I'm like, okay, I'm not going to do it again, because I'm not going to feel this way ever again. So that goes back to what I said in the beginning, trial and error. So you make the decisions because at that point of time you think that they're right, but you know for a fact that they're not. And then now that you're kind of like, you moved from it and you learn from it, you kind of know for the future that like you're not going to make that decision, and so on and so forth. And then that goes into, tapping inside yourself, like i'm I'm not going to go through this again. I'm worth more. And I just feel that I just feel that, uh, it's very hard to explain, but you guys know what I mean, right? So you learn from your mistakes, basically. So, but one thing that you have to take from it is that you have to learn. You have to learn from your mistakes and not make them again. And then when you make the mistake, you have to remember that like everyone's not perfect, right? Once you get that inside your head that like people make mistakes, but that's how you learn, and that's how you make yourself into a better person. The more mistakes that you learn from, it just makes you that much better of a person, because again, it's like a checklist, right? Like you made this mistake, okay, check, I'm not going to make it again. And then you make another mistake, check, you're not going to make it again. So basically, obviously there are going to be times that you make the same mistake. It happens. It's okay, as long as you learn from it. That's something, you know, that's something that you kind of have to remember, because I definitely didn't remember that for the longest time. So that's one mental thing that I want you guys to work on, is that you always have to remember to learn from your mistakes, and remember that people always make mistakes, but you have to learn from it. Okay. So the next thing is basically be nice to yourself, you know? Basically, wake up in the morning being like, "Hey, you look good today. It's going to be a good day." When you kind of talk to yourself and kind of give yourself that little bit of motivation, that you know, that goes a long way, because when you say it, your mind your mind follows it, right? Like it's like talking to someone and they listen, right? Like you have to keep saying it to yourself in order for you to kind of like, okay, yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe I do look good today. Maybe it is going to be a good day. Yeah, I do look good today, and it is going to be a good day. So also, even if throughout the day, like even if you're having a bad day, just sitting down, taking a breath, being like, hey man, I know it's a bad day, but it's going to get better. Just keep pushing and do you, and keep a positive mindset. Also, perfect segue, positivity. Being surrounded by positivity and thinking positive is great to build confidence, because you won't basically you won't let anything kind of bring you down, and that type of energy will kind of spread to everyone else and even to you, right? So positive mindset is great. Negativity is not. Being surrounded by negativity is so like draining, that no one ever needs that in their life. And there's no way that you're going to grow as a person if you have negativity surrounding yourself. So, you know, push away the negativity, bring in the positivity. That also goes with the people that you surround yourself with. You know, when um you know, like for me, I have a very small group of people, and they're all very positive, you know. They kind of spread the positivity onto myself, and that's how I wake up in the morning. I'm very like right now I'm very positive, I'm very motivated, and I just want to conquer the world and kind of show everyone who I am. And I just don't care what other people say about me. I know who I am, I love who I am, and that's it. So the next thing that you can work on pretty much every day I'm still working on that right now, is basically what you can change. Like again, like I said before, everyone is not perfect. There are things people can work on, and people can change things within themselves, right? Like for me, like these past couple of years, I focused a lot on communication, especially recently. I've been neglecting communication. Just like to basically communicate thoroughly and clearly with the other party, right? Not beating around the bush, being straight to the point. Because if you're straight to the point, you don't you kind of you you avoid all of the consequences are like without getting your point across, right? Like you don't like that's how you make decisions, you know, that's how you make decisions to be like not being judged for it. Like for example, right? Like when someone says when someone says like, hey, should I go to this party this weekend? And then you say like, yeah, it might be fun, and not being like I don't think you do. I don't think it's smart because you do have work in the morning or whatever, so on and so forth. That's a very, very minute example. But again, you always have to, if you have a point in your head, you don't want to beat around the bush, right? So that's what I've been working on is communication, being clear with my thoughts with people. Obviously, you don't want to be too clear, like everything in your head to be out. Like for example, I don't know, for example, like when you see someone and you say something that might hurt them or whatever. There's a time and place for everything that needs to be said, and then there's there's no place for some things that wait, I'm like confusing myself right now, but basically there's no place for some things that people say, right? So sometimes you just have to take it out of your head, to avoid negativity, right? Because to be honest, most of the time it's not even worth saying. So so this next thing um that I kind of want to, you know, share with you guys, and I'm gonna end off this episode with this topic. And to be honest, I think this topic is pretty much the end all be all thing to be like, this is how this is how you be confident in yourself and basically love yourself and be happy. Like being like to being self-confident is basically being happy within yourself, right? So the end all be all, or in my opinion, the end all be all things to do in order for you to be self-confident and have self-love is basically do what makes you happy, man. Like it's you at the end of the day. So you have one life, do what makes you happy. Like no matter what it is. Like for me, like what makes me more happier than anything in this world is stepping foot in the gym and training and working out. Because when I go into the gym, I'm the most confident person in the world. I walk in there being like this, like I feel good. Like obviously I go in there as a confident person, not a cocky person, right? Like so I walk in there, I say hi to everyone. I make conversation, little small conversation. I give off that positive energy, and I also give off that like hard working energy so people can feed off me, so they can work hard as well. So again, you have to find something, whatever in this world that makes you happy, even if it's, going to the gym or photography or painting or just whatever that makes your mental state kind of positive and happy, right? Like I said, like I like to go to the gym. That makes me happy. And that has helped me so much to build confidence and self-esteem. So also another thing that basically keeps my mental keeps my mental happy and keeps me motivated is basically this podcast. Like I've always wanted to start a podcast, but then again, I was so afraid of being judged because of it, because of, the way that I talk or like little rants that I go on. Because let me tell you the truth. Like this episode right here, I went on a lot of rants, but at the end of the day, like I'm proud of these rants. I'm proud of sharing what goes on in my head because again, there might be so much there might be a lot of people that to be honest, that I don't even know that might be going through the same thing or might be thinking the same thing. So you never know. There's I don't even know the exact number, but there are like a billion plus people in this world, and there are a couple that think the same way as you. So you never know. Share your thoughts, and people might relate to them. So just starting this podcast has made me so happy and kind of built my confidence like even more. Like like it's just, being confident in like, DMing people saying that, hey, do you want to like go on my podcast? Not even afraid that they might say no. Or not even not even just that, like just DMing anyone, not even being afraid of the outcome. Like again, when you talk to someone or you ask someone something, like the only like the worst, like what's the worst that they can do? It's not like they're gonna sit there and like laugh at your face and like judge you on the spot. Like they're probably just gonna say like maybe like for example, let's say as a male, like you ask, like this is a big thing for me because I've tried so hard to to fix this and kind of have the confidence to actually do this, which right now I have the confidence to do, is basically just ask a girl out, just initializing that, initially asking like, hey, you want to grab a coffee sometime. So in that case, the worst that they can do is say no. So like, why be afraid of asking it? Because again, because you'll have that regret in your head. Because I can't even tell you how many times that I've kind of thought twice about asking a girl out to coffee or lunch and regretting that I didn't, because I wouldn't I to be honest, at this moment of time, I would never know. I would never know if they would say yes or no because I didn't do it. So that right there is something that you can also work on yourself as well, because again, like another another source of happiness in my opinion is being with someone that loves you equally as you love them. So that's just a source of happiness that's like obvious. So yeah, going back to the podcast because I know I went on a rant, but going to starting the podcast, has increased my confidence a lot because again, um, when I sat down with Felipe on the last episode of the podcast, that kind of brought up my confidence because it was a long conversation. It was an hour conversation, right? Talking about numerous different things. And obviously, I know he knew me personally. I know you're good friends. But again, I still feel judged on what my thoughts are or like how I'm talking, even with my closest friends. So that right there. And and I've DM'd multiple people about, coming on the podcast and being guests. And I can't lie, I still have the feeling of them saying no, and saying something afterwards, like is this podcast popular? How many views are you getting? Like, do people know the podcast? Like, I had that thought in my head, but to be honest, none of the people that I DM'd ever said that to me. They just said, I mean, most of the, like, all of them, that I DM'd said yes to going on the podcast, and they're actually pretty happy that I actually started one. So that right there should tell you that you should just take the chance. There's a 50-50 chance it can go either way. It can go positively or it can go negatively. You would never know. Like, you have to take that chance. And that goes back to what I was saying in the beginning, trial and error. The trial is you asking the person, like, hey, would you like to be on my podcast? And like, the error can be they say no, or they could say yes. You never know. Like, you have to take the chance. So, to be honest, all of the rants that I've said in this episode of the podcast is something, are little topics that I feel that people can kind of relate to, and kind of take like, listen to the advice that I said and be like, hey, this might work for me. And you know what? Let me work on some things. Let me thoroughly go through myself to be like, oh, I think I could work on that. I think I could be a better person in that realm of my life. So see, you have all the time in the world. Like, I mean, obviously, if you're later down the line, then obviously, when you're older, then obviously, I don't know if it's too late, but you're kind of getting to the wire. But like, once you're in your 20s, to be honest, when you're in your 20s, that's the time to be like, let me experience this. Let me go through trial and errors to kind of learn. But there's a select few of people that will learn, excuse me, that will learn that this is who they are, and this is what they're worth, and they love themselves fully, and they really don't care what other people say, and they're confident in themselves. And then obviously there's a percentage of people that um are struggling in that aspect of their life, which again goes back to the point of, like, just focus on things that you can change about yourself, because each and every day, if you work on something each and every day, then you're just going to be better than the last day before. you know Little by little, slowly but surely, like they say, slow and steady wins the race. So definitely, focus, just, what, and that also leads into, you know what, focus on yourself, not being so wrapped up in different things. Like, for example, like, I don't know, when you're in high school, great example. I was talking to a friend of mine. He actually, and he's a great example about being, you know being like to yourself, but at the end of the day, knowing what you want, right? So, like, in high school, right? Instead of, following the crowd and doing what they do or whatever, you know what? Just sit down, you know, like, when you're home, figure out, like, what makes me happy? What what can I do on a daily basis to make me happy, and to kind of, like, learn about myself and be happy within myself. Like, for example, a lot of these, like, if you just focus on yourself for a little bit, no matter how long it is. Like, for example, these last 3-4 years, I've like, for me to actually sit down and kind of focus on myself and what goes on in my mind, and kind of self improve myself, like, this is the longest time I've done that. And I am so glad that I've done it, because I've learned so much, and I've gone through so much in the past 3 or 4 years, to be like, you know what? I'm confident. I am high key confident in myself. I love myself, and I don't care what anybody says anymore. This is what I'm gonna do. Like, if you like it, okay. But if you don't, I'm not gonna pout about it. I'm not gonna be sad about it. So definitely spend some time to focus on yourself. But the thing is, focusing on yourself or taking some time to focus on yourself, don't make that as an excuse to kind of not, you know, not be productive. Like, be productive every single day. That's the word. That's the word that I was looking for. Be productive every single day, no matter what it's productive in. If it's in yourself or something that you love, be productive every single day and work on it every single day. Like, for example, every single day I go to the gym, I work on myself. And then obviously I do the podcast. That's pretty much every week. Like three or 4 days I focus on the podcast. I do research. I do an episode on myself. I do an episode with the guest. That makes me happy every single morning. And also, one thing, another thing is, like, go on a routine. Like, being in a routine is just something that can help you feel better about yourself even more. Like, for example, like, on a regular day, right? Wake up, make my bed, brush my teeth, go get breakfast from Starbucks, eat my breakfast, watch YouTube to the people that I love watching. So it makes me feel good. Then I go to the gym. Then I make myself feel good even more. Like, work out, have a great workout, grab a protein shake, have a conversation with the front desk person. Like, stuff like that is just like, throughout the day, that just builds self-confidence even more, man. Like, there's a bunch of things. There's a bunch of things that you can do on a daily basis to make you feel good, you know? So, you know what? That's how I'm going to end it off. Focus on yourself. Focus on things that you can change. Focus on a routine that makes you happy. Focus on things that makes you happy, period. You know, increase your wardrobe, increase your self-image so you can look in the mirror and be like, hey, I look good. I love myself. So I'm going to end it off there. I hope you guys like this episode. I'm super excited for what's to come for this podcast. You guys have showed numerous love for the first 2 episodes, and I'm happy. And I have some heat. Let me tell you, I have some fire coming soon. Like, yeah, I have some fire coming soon. So wait on it. And yeah. And also, just a reminder, every Monday, audio version of each episode of the podcast will be live. And then on that Wednesday, 2 days later, the video version of the episode will be live on the YouTube channel. So make sure to go listen to the podcast on pretty much everywhere. I will leave, if you don't follow me on IG, go. My Instagram is at in the eyes underscore in the underscore eyes of CB. I'm always going to be posting everything about the podcast there, links to the audio version of the podcast. We are live on Spotify. I'm pretty proud about that. So if you can follow the Spotify, I guess you can call it account, or basically follow the podcast on Spotify, and then obviously subscribe and like and comment on the video on the channel. So thank you guys. Stay positive, stay motivated, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. And work on yourself, self-love, be confident. I love y'all. Peace.